Welcome back to the pastor's porch. It's finally nice to be able to say that I am actually on my own porch this week, outside and all. And yes, it's hot. The heat index, or the real field temperature as some may call it, says it's about 108 degrees out here. But at least it's sunny and it's dry. And I learned my lesson from the other week when my iPad overheated while recording. This week I stuck an ice pack under it to help keep it cooler, so fingers crossed that this works. And you can tell that I'm also having to wear different headphones because my other ones just didn't seem to work today. But all in all, it's good to be on my porch outside, thinking and reflecting and working on a few things. And I pray that as I share my life and my thoughts with you from my porch in these videos, that we both can grow in our faith and connect with God just a little bit more. This week, something exciting happened in this part of the Grote family. My son Aiden, who is 15 years old, officially obtained his learner's permit on Tuesday. And I drove home from the DPS after getting it with him. But once we pulled into our immediate neighborhood, which is closed off from any real traffic for the most part, I pulled over and we swapped spots, and he drove on a public street for the very first time. And then later that evening, when we were coming home from supper, I did the same thing. Only this time, he was able to pull out onto the main road and to experience just a tiny bit of traffic. And that's when the fun really started for me. You see, I was one who grew up with a motorcycle, a small dirt bike, and a go-kart from the time that I was about 9 or 10 years old. And we also grew up on a cul-de-sac in a small New Jersey town. So we were allowed to back the cars out of the driveway, drive them around the circle part of our street, and park them along the curb, all well before we were of legal age to drive. And so by the time I was 14, whenever my parents would go out of town, me and my buddy were already taking one of our cars and driving it around town. Mind you, you have to be 17 in New Jersey to get a license, and so this was a bit, you could say premature, to say at the least. Well, let's be real, it was illegal, but premature sounds a little bit better. Anyways, my kids growing up in a much larger and busier city than New Providence, New Jersey, they've never had the experience of driving anything other than their bicycles. They haven't had the opportunity to learn how a moving vehicle reacts to pressing the gas pedal or pushing on the brakes, or how to gauge the full width of a vehicle on the right side of it while sitting on the left side of it, or how to handle a left turn when someone's blocking your view, and so on. And so when Aiden took control of the vehicle on the roads outside of my neighborhood streets with other cars and real-life situations, that suddenly became real to me. My life and Liz's and Avery's lives also were in his hands, something that I fully reminded him of more than once. And with every mile per hour that he added to our speed, and with every foot that the car moved forward, I was saying, watch this, and you need to look and make sure of that, and you have to stop fully, even if no one is there, because a cop might be down the street and would see it and give you a ticket. Something that even Liz admitted to as being her first ticket that she ever got. I tried not to overdo it with him, and I was pretty dang calm, if I say so myself. But in those short periods, I probably spoke more about how to drive than I ever have. And I have to admit that my blood pressure probably went up a bit as I internalized the reality of that situation. And at one point it was funny because Aiden decided to throw his younger sister under the bus. He said, "Dad, I don't think it's me you actually have to worry about. It's going to be Avery that you have to worry about." It's good to see the siblings getting along like every other normal family, isn't it? At any rate, I started thinking about that aspect of teaching Aiden how to drive and allowing him to drive. First, there is the truth that handing the keys, or handing the wheel off, allowing him to take control of the vehicle while I sit in the passenger seat, requires one thing. And that is that I don't have control anymore. I mean, sure, I can spout off instructions. I can guide him. I can coach him. Stop here. Press the brake harder. Watch out for that parked car. OMG, don't kill me. Helpful stuff like that. But even though I can do all that, there is one thing that I can't do, and that's to actually control the vehicle. A couple of times my hand instinctively went to grab the wheel to help correct an overturn or an underturn on his part, but that's it. I can't step on the gas pedal. I can't hit the brake. I can't react fast enough if he decides to change a lane when someone is in his blind spot. In order for him to take control, it means that I have to let go of control and to trust him. And I think you know where I could head with this. In the most obvious of applications, we can reflect on how we approach God in that way. We want to be in the driver's seat or we want God to be in the driver's seat because who better to be in control than God, right? But yet we find ourselves so often seeking to control the vehicle, to control God's driving from the passenger side. If we want God to be in control, we have to let go of ultimate control and to trust him. Now, I don't actually want to go down that path, although you can on your own and in your own thoughts. What I actually want to mention and to reflect further on is what I said to Aiden in response to what he said to me when he said, "It's not me you have to worry about." I said, "Son, my worry is not about your ability to handle the vehicle. My worry is that I can't possibly tell you and teach you every aspect or situation that might arise in advance and what you will need to do in those situations." In other words, I can't prepare him for every possible outcome and decision that he's going to need to make. I can't ensure that he's going to be the most prepared driver out there. I can't make sure he'll be okay with every turn that he makes. On the one hand, as a dad, that's kind of hard. All of us parents know we want to protect our children. But on the other hand, we know we can't do that on every front. And we know that sometimes you throw the young bird out of the tree and you say, "You better learn how to fly," and we hope they figure it out by the time they hit the ground. Okay, maybe we don't go to that degree. But we know that sometimes learning from experience is better than ensuring they have every bit of head knowledge before you ever let them even try. The truth is, I and any parent, and I say this of ourselves personally, and not just as parents, we shouldn't really desire that we be prepared for every possible situation or outcome. That would simply be impossible. And we'd always be running around like chickens with our heads cut off saying, "But what about this?" or "What about that?" or "What about the other?" We would run in circles and never actually move anywhere in life, which is what some people unfortunately do. Rather, we should have our focus on teaching and on learning and on forming our children and ourselves and even each other on the principles which remain consistent and guide you through all those situations. Red means stop. Green means go. Don't turn left on a red light or you're going to get clobbered. No matter how the light may be positioned, vertically, horizontally separated, no matter what city you are in, no matter what the intersection looks like, those things remain the same. In other words, no matter what the particular situation might look like, the principle is the same and it will get you through it. Well, friends, that's what God's Word is to us. God's Word is not just a moral compass. It's not just the story of Jesus. It's not just to show us God's love. Yes, it is all those things. But it is the unchanging truth of who we are and who God is. And when we keep that at the center of our life, as the uncompromising principle of our life, then no situation and no circumstance will matter. Well, that's my reflection on the pastor's porch today. Who would have thought that tossing a set of car keys to a son would conjure up such lengthy thoughts? But that's how these things work. Reflecting on God in any and all situations can certainly lead to a lot of places. I hope that this has been helpful to you, in some way, and that you've been able to draw closer to God. Until next time, God bless. And for those in the Katy area, I look forward to worshiping with you on Sunday morning at St. Matthias.